You want to see something really scary?
You bet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this is really, really scary now.
I trust you.
Okay, pull the car over.
Pull the car over?
You want to see it?
Well, show me while I'm driving.
No, I can't. I can't tell you about it. It's only take a couple of seconds.
All right, 2 seconds, okay?
Okay.
What is it?
Just pull it over.
Okay.
I'll show you.
All right.
Okay.
Scare me.
Are you ready?
Okay, go ahead. What are you doing?
My name is Jeff.
I want to see them remake. I mean, it's another movie that I don't think needs to be remade because I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, absolutely. Or just make the sequel that we know has been written.
Or Buckaroo Banzai.
See, don't remake it. Just continue. Just continue.
Like
on
I
with
said,
it.
I whipped this
You gotta
out.
finally pull this.
I
in.
whipped this out just because I thought we might bring it up sometime.
Fucking perfect.
I've had this since the late 90s. Can you read that? That reads Buckaroo Banzai against the World Crime League. This is the sequel we're supposed to get. And Jack Burton's in it. Same writer wrote both Big Trouble in Little China and Buckaroo Banzai. Remake Buckaroo Banzai. That's another movie that had a lot of really cool ideas in it. Was kind of creative, but just didn't really have the budget to do it right. I mean, because as much as I like the movie, I do realize that the movie is very awkward. The tone is weird. It'll be really serious, and then it'll be really, really, really cheesy, and it just keeps on like fluctuating. It doesn't have it can't figure out if it wants to be like a comedy, a parody, or like a serious science fiction movie. It's just it's got all these things that don't really combine well, which is why I like it.
Yeah,
but it's one of those movies that's primed for a remake because if they can get the tone right and just they can finally make the definitive Buckaroo Banzai movie, and then maybe we will get that sequel that we get.
And that's another kind of thing that I think there's good writers right now for. There's good people who can write that like awkward, like moment, the dry humor awkwardness that do it really well, to where it flows.
Yeah.
And
get a writer who's good at quirky.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the words I always used to describe Buckaroo Banzai was like it's quirky.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything else like it out there because it had its own way of doing things that was just not the same as everything else that was. Which is why I liked it because I had like same with Buckaroo or Big Trouble in Little China. There wasn't anything else out there like that.
Yeah.
You know, where the hero is an idiot, or the main character is a fucking idiot, and the real hero of the story is like the secondary character.
Yeah.
Like that, and they're different. That's the same guy wrote them, so there you go. That makes sense that way.
Yeah.
And then have a massive crossover movie, and then geeks will have boners all over the world.
World will end.
Come on, Buckaroo Banzai and Jack Burton in the same movie. Make that
so awesome.
Make that shit happen.
That'd be so awesome.
What is an example of a remake you think should never have been made?
Besides Old Boy.
And Psycho. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Okay, here's a prime example of an awesome remake.
I think I know who you're talking about, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
The original movie, everyone hates it. It's hated. Universally hated. The remake came out like 2 years ago. And I was skeptical. It ended up being beyond what I thought was Dredd.
Oh yeah.
Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd was
the original one with Stallone was shit.
And I still liked it.
I mean, I'll watch it now.
It had actors at the time that were really good.
That was the problem.
It was the Demolition
That was
Crew.
the problem, was because they cast Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd, they weren't going to be able to get away with the whole him never taking his helmet off. Because it's got fucking Sylvester Stallone in it, and that's your star, and you need to see his face. And then what do? They give him really stupid contact lenses and have him act like an idiot the whole movie and team him up with Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
And the villain was non-threatening at all. Fucking Armando Sante, all he did was scream his dialogue. He was like, and have crazy contact lenses too. And it's just like the big robot thing that was like his sidekick was better than the fucking villain.
Yeah.
But that was one of those movies that I understood back then why everybody hated it. I liked it just because it was cheesy, and I was like, oh my god, I'm watching a live-action Judge Dredd movie.
Right.
But when I saw Dredd that came out a couple years ago, my mind was fucking blown.
Fucking awesome movie.
I have watched that. I don't own it, which is a crime.
But it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, and I think I've watched it like 5 or 6 times. Like I'll come home from work and I was like, I'm gonna watch Dredd again, because everything about that movie is pitch perfect. I mean, it feels like the comic book. The guy that they cast as Dredd, Carl Urban, he was perfectly cast. Olivia Thirlby as his sidekick, the psychic girl. Made sense why she didn't have her helmet on, because she was psychic and her powers wouldn't work. Lena Headey as the villain was, I mean...
She was good.
You wouldn't think that, Lena Headey would be a threatening villain. Holy fuck, she was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But just like, it has awesome action. I love the musical score. It's got this weird industrial vibe to it, which is music I really love.
Yeah.
And here's the, you said the 3D you thought was awesome. Here's my thing. When I saw it in D-Box, which is the chairs that move.
Oh, cool.
According to what's going on screen.
Yeah.
I saw The Dark Knight Rises like that. So every time there was a car chase, the chairs would sway depending on what is going on.
Yeah.
I've seen, I think, 4 movies in D-Box. Dark Knight Rises was probably the best because they really implemented it really, really well. Especially the flying scenes in the back, because the thing would lift up and you'd be going like... It was really cool. Dredd was probably the second best because it wasn't so much... I mean, there's that motorcycle chase in the beginning. That was doing the little swing thing. What it was doing was it was queued up to the music, and the music was so bass heavy. Every time there was a bass boom, boom, the chair would vibrate. It would go boom, 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 and the whole movie you're going like this, and it's just really subtle, and it made you feel like part of the movie.
Yeah.
And like, and then when there was a gunfight, like if you would dodge, you would go like this, But for the most part, it was because the music had this heavy bass. It was always boom, boom, the whole movie, boom, 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 boom. It was awesome. I was sitting there going, the whole movie had a smile on my face.
Yeah.
It was
just
awesome.
kind of gets your blood.
And it was in 3D. And the 3D, the slow-mo effect with the 3D, holy fuck, dude.
The scene, speaking of how, like, the way it's shot and everything, it looks like you're reading a comic book. And there's a scene where the villain is in a bathtub and she takes a hit from the drug that this movie's kind of slows
she does that thing with her hand.
And she pulls her hand up out of the water, and the way it's dripping, and the way the tub's kind of like dirty and older and run down, and like the back, and it just looks like a comic book.
Yeah,
like
it's the filter that they put on whenever someone inhales the slow-mo, they boost the colors.
Yeah, and like
they put this weird soft focus effect on everything, but they filmed it at super fast frame rate. It's like 1,000 times what film normally would be going through, or how the rate that it would film. It was filming 1,000 times more information than of normal. So when they would play it back at normal speed, it would be this like super slow mo. So basically, they had a shot of Lena Headey doing this in the water. Yeah, that was what it was. But when they play it when they filmed it in that super high frame rate, when they play it back at normal speed, it's like
And I remember,
you can see every little detail.
I was watching the movie, and you're kind of like smiling joy. And then once that happened, like I sat up. It's like, okay.
And the 3D got a boost. Really, and even in those scenes, the 3D got a boost. Like all of a sudden, it was like this depth of field thing would happen, and it would be like really crazy, druggy haze.
Yeah.
And the best one was when he shot that guy in the cheek.
Yeah.
That scene where he blows that door open, and you see that guy's stomach cave in and go flying across the room, and he just starts capping everybody in slow motion. The best one was when he shot that guy in the cheek. Because the aspect ratio the movie was at, I've noticed this in a couple of 3D movies that have come out lately, was movies that are filmed at like that 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio, the theaters won't, normally they'll like have the curtain come in and fill up the empty space, so you don't see blank space above and below the screen. Some of these 3D movies, they leave it there because they'll have the 3D effect come past the border of the aspect ratio. So when I saw Dredd, they didn't do that thing where they bring the curtain in to fill up the rest of the empty space on the screen. They left it open because when he shoots that guy in the face, the bullet goes out of the frame. And keeps on going, and you actually see it come out of the frame to make it look like it's coming at you. And I was like, that is the shit!
And like they showed, like it looked like they took a real like cheek.
Yeah,
they made a real cheek and
like it was like a pig's
blew a
cheek.
hole through it.
It was
it
crazy.
Looks like they really did shoot a bullet through it, and really awesome movie. I'm surprised we haven't talked about that movie yet.
That's one of my favorite movies now. I mean, like I am super pissed that it did not make money.
No, but
I do have good news. There is talk of a follow-up.
Right.
Carl Urban was at some convention like last week or the week before, and someone, of course, some fan is there and asks him a question. So is there going to be another Dredd movie? He goes, there's talks of it. They're talking about hiring a writer. It might not be a sequel. It might be a prequel.
Cool.
About
How it
Mega
got to
City, how like about the nuclear war and all that kind of shit, and how like the judges were formed, and then how he became, the head judge, or how he became Dredd, which I think is cool as long as they bring Carl Urban back too, because he was perfect as Dredd. He had the voice, he had
his jaw.
the
You only
sneer.
see his jawline.
It's just that sneer. He had that perfect, and it wasn't like I am
right.
the law.
Well, he's built perfect. He's not over.
He's not stocky.
He's really like in good shape, and like he has the sharp jaw that you get out of your comic book hero.
The thing the thing that defines that character is that sneer.
Yeah.
And he had that
mug,
that sneer, perfect.
mug.
And he did say Stallone's line, but he said it in a way that made it badass instead of like as a joke. Like, I am the law. He goes, "You're not the law. I am the law."
Yeah. I am the law.
Yeah, I am, Mister. I am the law.
I am the law! I am the law! You betray the law!
Dredd is a perfect example of a really well made. Like you take something that's shit and you make it into something golden.
True that.
Like the Fog remake, I love the original Fog. The remake of the Fog was embarrassing. Like my friend Charlie and I, when I first discovered the Fog was probably right when I graduated high school. So that was probably like in 93, 94. I think I finally said, you know what, I've seen this at the video store every time I come here. I might as well just rent it and find out. Because I love John Carpenter. I think that was one of the few John Carpenter movies I hadn't seen yet. I was like, I didn't think just the title of it made me go, no. The Fog. What the fuck is that? That's some bullshit. Yeah. So I finally rented it and I loved it. And me and my friend Charlie, we would watch it like once a month. Like I'd be like, I'd come over and be like, I got the Fog. He's like, yes! So when the remake came out, we both were like, let's go. We're going. And we both walked out, didn't say anything, go back to my house. And this is probably like 1 in the morning. I think we went to see like a really, really late show. We went back to my house. It was like 1 in the morning. And Chuck's like, put on the original. Just so we can wash the taste out of that out of our mouths. And I'm like, yeah. Evil Dead was one of those rare ones I actually liked.
Yeah.
Evil Dead. I mean, they did something different with it. It was like, see, I hate the original Evil Dead. I hate it because it's just, to me, it's just stupid. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything going on. It was just gore. Second one is the one where I was like, yes, because it was funny and goofy. But like when I saw the remake, I was like, oh, there is a point for them being at this cabin. It wasn't just like we're going out here to party, get drunk, and do drugs and have sex. It's like we're out here for an intervention, and there's that whole possibility that everything that's happening is like a withdrawal fever dream that this girl's having. Maybe it's not real. Then it turns out it is, and then the big twist at the end. Did you see the remake? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big twist at the end took me completely by surprise. That the girl ended up like being the thing that's possessing her leaves, and she ends up being the hero. Mm-hmm. That surprised the shit out of me. So that was one of those few that I actually thought worked as a remake too. Yeah. It didn't need to be remade because that's another one thing you just don't touch. Right. Evil Dead is awesome.
Well, that's why I think the TV show may be pretty good. Bruce Campbell's going to be in it, and Sam Raimi's producing it. So if those guys are good,
as long as they don't turn it into Xena, or Hercules, because that's exactly the kind of shit that guy does when he makes a TV show. I know one that I would like to see remade is Flash Gordon. Steven, yeah.
Lying bitch.
The Blob was an awesome one. The remake.
I've not seen the remake.
Ever seen the remake?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, dude. That is a gore movie and a half, dude.
Yeah.
Holy... I hate the Blob from the 50s. The remake of the Blob that was made in the 80s is made by the guy... The guy who directed is the same guy who directed Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So it's got like this weird sense of fun on top of the horror. It is... Oh my god. You want to see a movie that was pre-CGI that had some of the coolest makeup effects in history? That's one of them. King Kong.
I fell asleep during it. I've only seen it once, and I fell asleep in the theater watching it.
Did you ever see the
worst fucking thing I've ever seen?
It was boring as fuck.
So boring, and I was so mad because I love Peter Jackson.
Yeah,
and especially when he does when he gets a big budget and he's doing CGs. I fucking love Peter Jackson.
The thing that got me while I was watching it was I was like, okay, he got such critical praise for the Lord of the Rings movies, and they pretty much gave him an unlimited budget and creative control over everything, and this movie was just nothing but a gigantic ego trip. Yeah, it was like I can do whatever I want, however I want. I'm going to do it my way, and fuck you all. Yeah. And he made one of the most boring movies I've ever seen.
Kong looked great.
Like I said, the movie visually, that movie is amazing. It
looked awesome, but the fight with the spiders was cool.
And then when it comes to action,
fucking boring.
It's dumb.
Building a love story between the girl and the I understand that, but it doesn't need to be an hour long of just weirdness. Like, it's
awkward, creepy shit. Bestiality shit. It was just. It's one of those things where he didn't have someone to filter him.
Yeah.
It was like he wrote that script with, I think it was his wife. No one gave them any notes. No one said, you might want to trim this here and snip this and maybe shorten, work this a little shorter. No one. They just let him do what he wanted. And, I mean, did that movie really need to be 3 hours long? No.
It's an hour and 40.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The original movie is like an hour and a half. Maybe not even an hour and a half. And it got everything across like that. And Jack Black is horrible in that movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I like Jack Black a lot. His
miscast completely.
Yeah, like it just not
everybody actually.
Yeah.
Like Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
No.
I watched speaking of Jack Black, I watched a good movie the other day called Who Is Bernie?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Jack Black does a good job.
He can be good. It's just like, but he was miscast.
He's not going to be in a fucking con movie.
No, that was. He does not belong in an action movie at all, ever. And it's just.
I'm sure he got a good check for it. Good for him.
I'm sure everybody did. But like Adrian Brody was miscast. I mean, I like Naomi Watts as much as the next guy.
But Brody's supposed to be like your head, like military kind of like.
The same problem I had with Predators.
Like, what?
Yeah, he's supposed to be like some paramilitary guy. I'm like, he looks like a bookworm.
He's a long, lanky dude. Like, he ain't leading no pack through woods and shit.
No.
Not doing it.
They're still remaking the fucking Crow.
I need to stop.
That's one that you don't. And you know who they were casting as the Crow for a little while? Bradley Cooper. It's like,
Stop.
no.
Stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
that's one you just leave it alone.
Roasty.
Yeah. Roasty the shit out of that motherfucker.
Stop it.
Yeah.
A man lost his the son of a fucking legend lost his life over that film and did a fucking great job. The First Crow is a very underrated comic book film. A lot of people don't ever talk about it.
That's another cult.
Yeah.
Cult movie.
I
saw that in the theater 3 times.
It's cool. And I wasn't even a fan of the comic, but I thought the movie.
I read the comic because of the
music
movie.
was awesome.
Yeah.
And like just a cool.
That was
film.
another movie that's a time capsule. The movie is a mid '90s time capsule.
I would like to see Spawn redone.
They are remaking Spawn.
They are.
They are.
Everything I want redone, they're gonna do.
And Todd McFarlane is the one that's shepherding it. He's
Really?
like, we're gonna do it right this time.
Cool.
That was another one that was like, why would you take something like this and make it PG-13?
Right.
Why
would you make the son of Satan or the son of fucking
the
demon,
warrior,
warrior.
like Satan's warrior?
Yeah.
PG-13. And I remember when it came out on video, they released like an unrated cut.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was unrated was Spawn called Clown a fudge packer.
Yeah.
That was the unrated part. They are remaking Escape from New York.
Okay. I could do that.
That's one that I'm kind of.
I'd like to see it. I like to see it from LA's all garbage, but I like the New York.
I want to. That's what I'm on the fence about. It's kind of like I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. But they're talking about casting Gerard Butler as Snake. But now that they're making a sequel to Olympus Has Fallen, which I have no idea why they're doing that, they're saying that they might have to recast it again. Which could be another Tom Hardy role.
Yeah.
Like, he could be a pretty cool Snake Plissken. Even though they already did remake Escape from New York and it was called Doomsday.
Yeah.
With a woman instead of a man.
Yeah.
Which was pretty awesome.
It was pretty cool. That was a cool.
I love Doomsday. That was one of those really creative
scenes.
ones.
Yeah, it had like some big scenes with a lot of choreography. And,
but a lot of people don't realize that is a fucking remake of Escape from New York. Your heroine is she doesn't have an eye patch. She has the fake eye, which is basically the same fucking thing. She even wears an eye patch for a little point. And it is Escape from New York. It is her going out, from the walled city and trying to bring something back.
She's sexy too.
Yeah, Rona Mitra. Fuck, dude, I want to peen her butt.
Yeah. Ooh, peen her butt.
Well, now that is some fucked up shit.
They remade RoboCop.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I own it. That's one of those movies that either you really like it or you really hate it, and I really like it. And I thought that it was cool because it wasn't trying to be the original movie. Mm-hmm. It was trying to be its own thing. And it was trying to say something. Like, the original RoboCop is another one of those movies. It's a product of the 80s. It's making fun and commenting on 80s pop culture and media and all that kind of stuff. If you were to remake that nowadays, it wouldn't work. So what they do now is they take something that people are bitching about, and that is the usage of drones in war and all that, and spy technology basically, and they comment on that. And for our the current times, that makes more sense than making fun of the media. It's in there still a little bit, but it's not nearly as bad as there's no crazy commercials like there was in the original RoboCop and all that kind of stuff. There isn't really like a bad guy like Boddicker in this one, which is one of my problems with it. Even though there's maybe like 3 villains in this one, and if that's kind of video gamey where it like progresses. But there is no one big main villain like Bodker. There's no big threat like that in it. But it's more about trying to figure out what makes a person tick than the original. The original one was kind of like, is his humanity still in there even though he's considered a robot now? Is his humanity still in there? Here, he has it from the beginning, and he almost loses it, and it's him trying to fight to get it back. And that, to me, was more interesting than anything, like if they were just to make a generic action movie out of it.
Yeah.
Which is why I liked it so much, because I'm sitting there watching it, and I actually gave a shit.
Yeah. Murphy.
It's you.
It's one of those things that is surprising, because I was expecting to hate it, because it's RoboCop. It's like, why do you remake RoboCop? It's like, why do you remake Psycho? Because RoboCop's considered classic. But we see what they did with it, and it was like they were trying to say something with it that is current and not trying to just remake the old movie and copy the old movie. They did their own thing with it, and it was well done and well made, and I thought it was pretty awesome. I know there's a lot of people that don't like it, but this is just me. I can understand why people don't like it because it's not the original movie. But if I want the original movie, I'll go watch the original movie.
Yeah.
It can go either way. I mean, if it's something that should be remade because the original wasn't all that, I'm okay with it. If it's something that was awesome to begin with, why?
Yeah.
Like Halloween.
Or it's something that's just for the time period, the decade that it was made in.
Like RoboCop to me was one of those rare ones where like they took something that was basically a time capsule from the 80s and then they turned it into a time capsule for now, for current day. That's kind of cool. But like when you have something like Psycho, which didn't serve a purpose in any way,
right?
It was either
it's a
trying to be experimental or it was just an ego project.
Yeah, because Psycho was a movie that changed theater and changed the movie experience when it came to horror films.
Yeah, they did something unheard of.
The first one that killed a woman.
Where they kill. Well, no, it was like the one where they kill who you think is the hero of the film. They kill her, 30 minutes in. And that was unheard of.
Most vulnerable spot to be naked in the shower.
It's like everyone I know when the movie first came out, everyone was just kind of like, oh, the guy's gonna come in and she's gonna smack him or something and get away. And no, he annihilates her in that shower. He fucking butchers the shit out of her. And that was like the big surprise. That was like the big Shyamalan. What the twist?
Yeah. Well, and the twist too is that like this crazy dude has his dead mother, in his and he's talk. It's really fucked up for the time it came out. It's just you can do that now and be like, oh, that's kind of messed up, but it's artsy. Back in those days, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The thing too is when a movie has, it's you can hear a song. Even for me, we didn't grow up in that era. That movie, that wasn't our fucking Lord of the Rings, where it's just the biggest thing, and the scene for 5 or 6 years. And when I hear the song, I know exactly where that song music comes. It's the movie has so many scenes and faces and the fear. She opens the shower and it's now that look on her face and that scream when you first see the
they made fun of that in fucking Police Academy too.
Yeah, it's very iconic I'm sorry I went and watched the remake in theater.
I saw it in the theater too.
With Vince Vaughn and.
Luckily, I paid my May price.
Yeah, it was really bad. I didn't enjoy it. But
I was angry.
I was kind of excited. I was like, wow, okay, cool. Maybe they'll do something interesting. And they just didn't really do anything interesting.
What did they?
Because there's nothing to redo.
The only thing that they changed was just
him beating off.
him beating off. Instead of just watching her in the room naked, getting undressed, he was spanking the monkey.
Yeah.
And you heard it, and I was like, I remember in the theater going what?
Yeah.
Whenever he would kill somebody, there'd be these weird flashes of images. It was like a cow in the middle of a field and a lightning strike, and then something from a Rob Zombie music video.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? It was like when he killed William H. Macy, the detective, and it was he stabs him in the face, also flashes of weird things, and then, oh, I'm falling down the stairs. What?
Leave it alone. Stop it.
Don't remake Hitchcock movies.
Stop it.
Michael Bay, do not make the Birds remake.
Stop it.
He was talking about it. He canceled it. I hope he doesn't bring it back.
Stop it.
Just make original horror movies. Don't remake anything else.
Stop it.
Stop it!
I can understand why you don't like it because it's not the original movie. Because it... Are you fucking kidding me?
Stella hairballs on RoboCop.
Listen, I think about you, RoboCop.
I thought I heard that. I was like, Miko does that. I think I know what's coming.
Yeah, you motherfucker. Stella.
Hair bizzle.
She's getting ready to do it again. She just did it again. You cunt. You fucking cunt cat. Stella. You fucking bitch. This is what you get when you overeat.
Yeah. That's what happens when you scarf it down.